Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Shifts and Pucks News Pack for Thursday, May the 5th. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter at Shifts and Pucks, Facebook.com, Shifts and Pucks, YouTube.com, Shifts and Pucks, Twitch.com, Shifts and Pucks, and subscribe wherever you get your audio, as well as on the Area 51 Sports Network. As we are here, it is game two tonight between the Calgary Flames and the Dallas Stars. We did our recap yesterday of game one in the afternoon. Devin, Sean, and myself recapping game one. Calgary's 1-0 win against Dallas. We gave our W, our player of the game, which we'll do after every game. We'll have a poll grading the Flames' performance after every game as well on Shifts and Pucks as well. And so expect we'll have our recap tomorrow as the games go on a little late there as well. Tomorrow around 11:30 we'll be live, and then you can check it out on your favorite platform after that. But tonight, Flames do play the Dallas Stars. Of course, Flames lead the series 1-0. Of course, it was 1-0, and the only goal scored was Elias Lindholm. And it will be the same goaltenders, Jake Ottinger versus Jacob Markstrom. The interesting thing for the Dallas Stars lineup here is the lineup changes for the Dallas Stars. It looks like they are splitting Sagan and Ben here as we just pull up that up. Here we'll have the Hintz line together. The Rupe Hintz, Joe Pavelski line will and Jason Robertson, that line will be together as well. But it looks like they, according to one report, that looks like they were going to make some changes. Let's pull that up here. As from Matthew DeFanks, this morning's skate, Hintz, Robertson, Pavelski, Ben, Raffle, and Gurianov, Tyler Seguin with Domestikov and Glendening, Vatska, Kivi, Ranchad, Radulov. On defense, it's Suter and Heiskanen, Lindell and Klingberg. Of course, John Klingberg had a lot to say about Rasmus Anderson after their scrap. And then Hakanpää, Hanley. Hanley will be defense on defense. So I think they're switching from Hanley to Harley. They're splitting Ben and Sagan. That's the idea here that they are presenting in the morning skate. That could always change. You know that from playoffs as well. So that is the lineup for Dallas. We'll recap the game tomorrow there as well. So we'll just go through the games today here. We've got the Pittsburgh Penguins taking on the New York Rangers. It will be Louis Domingue starting game two for the Pittsburgh Penguins, of course. Casey DeSmith got injured during the overtime part of the game. So Penguins lead 1-0, going with Louis Domingue for game one. Washington taking on Florida. The Capitals have the 1-0 series lead in that. It is Tom Wilson will not play tonight. He is out for the Capitals here. So that will be a big loss. So Brett Leason will make his playoff debut here as well. So, and just seeing if the lines looking like for the Capitals here, Washington their lines look like it will be Backstrom, Johnson, Johansson, Yoshi, Kuznetsov, Ovechkin, Shiri, Eller, Mantha, and Garnet Hathaway, former Flame, Nick Dowd, Johan Larson, Brett Leason. You've got Carlson and Faravarvi, Jensen, Orlov, Justin Schultz, and Trevor Van Riemsdyk. There. And no changes for Florida. And you also got the Colorado Avalanche off a 7-2 win over the Nashville Predators. Connor Ingram will get the call and goal for the Predators as they're down 1-0 there. And we talked a little bit about David Riddick yesterday, and he looked overwhelmed. And it's going to be I don't know if we see him in the playoffs again or not. I guess it will be interesting to see what happens with Connor Ingram here, also what happens with UC Saros as well. But the Avalanche are up 1-0. To go through the games yesterday, there were, of course, the 4 games yesterday, and really there wasn't a close game. Really, you could say that Toronto and Tampa was close, but not really. It was all the games had a bit of a blowout. We'll start in Carolina here. The Hurricanes and the Bruins. Pavel or Peter Korchechov had to come into the game after David Pastrnak uh, collided with Ante Ranta in the first period. Ranta is out, but the Hurricanes jumped out to a 2-0 lead with Jesper Fast and Sebastian Aho scoring in the first. And then you had and then Aho scored again in the second. The Hurricanes scored again in the 2 more in the second to make it 4-1, and uh, then Bruins scored 1 to make it 4-1, and then after that, it was pretty much we had the Svechnikov hit on Hampus Lindholm. Lindholm also out for that game for a while now. That's a big loss as well. And Hurricanes put that away to a 5-2 victory. Hurricanes up 2-0. Hurricanes looked quite dominant. Thank you very much. As you got 2 from Aho, you got Nino Niederreiter scoring 2. Patrice Bergeron scored both goals for the Bruins, who was the first time against Carolina this year scored more than 1 goal in a game. They've scored only 2 goals, and 1 in the regular season, 1 yesterday, or 1 in game 1, and then 2 yesterday. So that's how dominant Carolina has been. Boston has announced that they're going with Jeremy Swayman. You have 2 fines. Brad Marchand and Derek Forbort faced fines for their antics yesterday. Marchand got into it with the goaltender, Kochetkov. He and Forbort high stick Timo Teravainen, and he took a 4-minute penalty. I've never seen the Bruins that undisciplined. They just look like a team that have just kind of unraveled right before our eyes. Carolina just looked like the more composed, more disciplined team, and right now looks like a very short series. Anything can change. You're going back to Boston. Game 3 and 4 there might be. If you get some goaltending, you're facing a number 3 goaltender. Who knows? But it just doesn't look like a long series right now. Carolina, Boston, just smothering. And then you had Tampa Bay taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. That was 5-3 Tampa. And Tampa may have taken a little while to get going, but ultimately they did. And they looked a little bit more like the Tampa Bay that we've known and loved over the time there. They got 3 power play goals. Kucherov got involved. Braden Point got involved. Victor Hedman got involved. Just one of those things that the Leafs certainly brought the intensity to the game, but they just couldn't match the Lightning skill ultimately in this game. And it was tied at 1. I don't think anybody is truly surprised. Corey Perry got involved as well. Corey Perry got a goal. It was 5-3, 5-1 at one point, and the Leafs made a late run there. So Lightning tied the series. Leafs got goals from Kerfoot, Mitch Marner, and Michael Bunting, who was back in the lineup. But it was ultimately it was all about the Tampa Bay Lightning and their offense and the way that they scored on the power play. They just looked a lot more efficient. Andrei Vasilevskiy is 15-0. He has never lost 2 games in a row. I think he's at the save percentage, which is something like .915. The Lightning look like the two-time Stanley Cup champions that they have been. And I think if you're Tampa, you're happy that you're split going back to Tampa. You have more control of that environment. You have more control of that matchup for sure. So, but this has the look of a really long series. And we talk about Carolina, Boston looking like a short series. Definitely looking like a longer series there, Tampa Bay and Toronto. The Minnesota Wild didn't get their first shot on goal until halfway, about the 9:30 mark of the first period, and then they scored on it, and they ran away with this one. It was a lopsided win for the St. Louis Blues, 4-0 against the Wild. Joel Eriksson Ek and Frederick Gaudreau and Kirill Kaprizov scored goals in the first period, and they just cruised to a 6-2 win over the St. Louis Blues. Just a much different game. The Blues power play had 3 goals in game one. They had one. They were 1 for 5, but this time the Wild's power play got involved. It was 2 for 3. Marc-Andre Fleury a lot better in goal, and that series is tied at 1, and that goes back to St. Louis. And I don't think that we're going to be seeing a lot more blowouts. I think in that series, I think both of these teams are too good to be blowing each other out. Just was one of those games. The Blues did stick with Ville Husso throughout the game. So, and the Blues can score, the Wild can score, but they're good. They're still good teams. I still think that this is a lengthy series. And I think the games will be much closer as we head to St. Louis there. So that series is tied at 1. And then the Edmonton Oilers knocked it off the Los Angeles Kings 6-0. Mike Smith gets the shutout on 30 saves. Very physical game for the Edmonton Oilers, including Connor McDavid here. Of course, there was the hit that he got the penalty for. I think the opportunity that the Kings had to win the game was when Connor McDavid and Darnell Nurse took a penalty in that sequence that some felt Mikey Anderson should have got a cross-checking penalty for, but they didn't capitalize on that. It ended up being a scoreless first period, and then the Oilers just started to roll with Draisaitl, Nurse, Evander Kane had 2 goals. It was just one of those games for that you have to take the opportunities to capitalize on the Oilers first. So you're going to get into a power play game. They're out there and they're going to be trying to score as much as they possibly can, for sure. And they did. They got Draisaitl, Nurse, and McLeod in the first, and then Kane got 2 in the second, and then Jesse Puljujärvi added 1. Kane had 2 goals and an assist. Evan Bouchard had a couple of assists as well. Ryan McLeod a goal and an assist, and they came away with the 6-0 victory. It was tough to ask more. Jonathan Quick, was unbelievable in game 1, and the Oilers just kept shooting, and Quick just wasn't in the same boat. And Smith was stronger in this game. Couple of bounces, sure, but they tied the series. They won a playoff game. They got that monkey off their back in Edmonton, and they're heading to LA tied at 1. This still looks to me like there's a lengthiness in the series. Like certainly the Oilers look like the team that has more of the skill, but the Kings will have last change. They're gonna have to battle though, and just especially in the second periods where the Oilers have really dominated the second periods, the Kings are going to have to come up with a better second periods. 48-46 were the hits, but I really felt that the Oilers were stronger hitting. And then 56% on the faceoff, 44% on the faceoff for the Kings. Oilers power play, 2 for 4 in game 1, 2 for 4 in game 2. So that will be another thing that has to be stopped there. So that's kind of the recap of game 1. Other news going on, we've got the New Jersey Devils are saying that they are looking at a possibility of trading their first round pick. The draft lottery, by the way, is Tuesday the 10th. Looks like Lindy Ruff is expected today be remaining a coach. General Manager Tom Fitzgerald says they're open to trading their first pick. They're looking at possibly getting a goaltender. They have the fifth best odds for the first lottery draw at 8.5%, 27, 46, and 9. And they will, I think goalie will be something they have to deal with. Mackenzie Blackwood, 8.9, 270 save percentage. Jonathan Bernier missed the season after December 3rd with a hip injury. So they use 7 goalies. So that is one thing that I think the Devils will want to have some stability in goal. There's a lot of talent on that Devils team, but they certainly need to address goal. And it's happening. According to Craig Martin, the Arizona Coyotes deal to play the games at the ACU multi-purpose area is complete. It was confirmed by CFO Morgan Olsen. The arena will be ready to host NHL games in October, and this avoids a lengthy Coyotes road trip to start the 2022-2023 season. So the Arizona Coyotes are going to be looking like right now playing in a 5,000 seat arena. So that we're getting. I'm having a hard time believing that that's possibly going to happen, but it looks like at this point that is where the target is seeing. So we'll see what happens there. Rankings came out today, and Shane Wright is still the consensus number 1 pick for the 2022 draft rankings. It was the final one. Number 1 among North Americans skaters is Shane Wright. By the way, because Kingston came up with a big upset yesterday over London in the WHL playoffs. A number 7 seed meeting a number 2 seed, like the Giants did to the Everett Silvertips. Jurek Vasilevskiy of Finland is among the number 1 international stars. So Logan Cooley is there. Of course, up there you've got Cutter Gauthier of the National Development Program, Matthew Savoy and Connor Geeky of the Winnipeg Ice of the Western Hockey League are there as well. So WHL retweeted a number. There's a number of WHL players that will be on that list as well. So check that on WHL there. And of course, the WHL playoffs begin tonight, or the second round begins tonight. We've got the Red Deer Rebels taking on the Edmonton Oil Kings. Those two teams, you may look at that and think the Oil Kings should be an overwhelming favorite considering the talent that they have. But there was only 10 points separating the two teams. They actually split the games 5-3 and 2 that the Oil Kings had. So might be a longer series and a tougher series than many may predict. You got, of course, Red Deer Rebels have the dynamic duo of leading scorers Archie Baines and Ben King. Lots of firepower, of course, on the Oil Kings as well. That series starts tonight. 2 more series will start tomorrow. We've got the Moose Jaw Warriors heading to Winnipeg to take on the Ice, and then the Vancouver Giants take on the Kamloops Blazers. And then on Saturday, the Portland Winterhawks and Seattle Thunderbirds start in Seattle. That series is going to go a bit different because there's an event going on in Portland, but Portland will have the home ice advantage by Game 7 there. So that's what's going on there. BCHL, we have the finals are set. It is the Nanaimo Clippers taking on the Penticton Vees. Both teams have yet to lose in the playoffs. As the Clippers knocked off the Rivermen 6-1 yesterday there to move on to the finals. And the Vees knocked off the West Kelowna Warriors there before the Clippers, or the Vees. Jackson Ewendike 3 points. Caden Lane, first star performance. He stopped 27 of 28 shots. Warriors beat the Warriors, lost 6-1. Then the Penticton Vees won the series there as well. And then back on looking at the other game here between the Rivermen and the Clippers beat the Rivermen 5-4 on the third there, and then they won yesterday as well. So that series, the final Penticton Vees and the Nanaimo Rivermen. And in the AJHL, just looking here, website's a bit wonky. Looks like the Bandits have taken the 2-1 series lead. They won 4-2. Game 4. The Bandits actually lead 3-1. Game 5 will be on Saturday there as well. So that will be the news for today. Of course, you can follow us all on Twitter individually. Sean Beardy Canuck 03, Devin Gordhow 09, Tyler TNOBLE, Chris Schneid's SCHNEIDZ. I am KUVULE. Shifts and Pucks on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, wherever you get your audio, as well as on the Area 51 Sports Network. Thanks everyone for watching and listening, and we'll talk to you all very soon. Bye for now.